book a lot.
What's the name of it?
I don't remember at all, because it was an Italian book too, because I was in Italy at the time. But then years
because you know
later,
they got books over in Europe that we don't get, we don't have over here, and the information that they put out in the public domain over there is no ways the same as the information we get. When we get Oxford University's History of the World and Georgetown University History of the World, Georgetown is over here, Oxford is over there. But when you look at the history of the world, they tell it two entirely different stories.
That, like, I follow that because I'm assuming it's because, you know, the experience, the life experience that I've had, where I've lived in 3 different continents, and I did go through the Italian educational system. And I say it often, but I haven't really learned anything since I've been in the States. I've learned how to play the system because the universities have always tried to, like, tell me one thing over the other, as far as like what my progress was. But then I moved to Atlanta. A few years later, I went to visit NOLA for the first time with a girlfriend. We walked into a voodoo shop, and we ended up speaking to a woman who was doing readings, and we ended up speaking to her for hours. And she was reading my friend and like giving her messages and all sorts of things. And then she looks at me, and at that time, plenty of quote unquote weird things had happened in my life, but I never really truly embraced it because my grandma was schizophrenic and my mom has a ton of trauma from it. So it's never really spoken about until I started asking questions recently. But that woman, when she came to me, she just looked at me for a few minutes and she was like, I can't read you. Like, all I'm getting is deep waters. And
that's your mother line's protection, a veil that they put up for the oracles. That should have told her a couple of things. That one, that you come from an earth tribe, because everybody, but your earth tribe is waterbenders. When your birthday?
January 28th. So I'm in Aquarius.
Yep. So you write on the energy signature for that. That's why she couldn't see nothing but the waters.
And I love the water.
So when you go back and you study the customs of old Italy, they had the same Big Mama. You know what I'm talking about? The old lady that make, come here, son, sit down and eat. You're not leaving my house without a plate. That lady, right? That's an earth trait. That's not Anunnaki. We do that on Earth. It's a mother thing to do. And on the feminine planet, you can tell those native, because these women have to feed you before you leave, because if something happened to you, she could have gave you your last meal and received the blessing for feeding you before you went out.
So if she wasn't able to read me, but I also wasn't trying to make it easy for her to read me. I know,
because you wired that way from your life experiences and your genetic memory.
So what about when I do go get readings and they're very on point? Is it because I'm more open?
You participate.
Okay.
Right, because you have to trust the person doing the reading enough to participate, and then they can pick it all up.
Right. And speaking of, you know, Italian ways, a few years ago, I was listening to Imani heavily, and she was talking about she was just not gonna interact with us anymore and stop going live because she was catching a lot of backlash for it. And I remember feeling
Who is she?
The Hood Healer.
Okay, all right, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, because that's how I found you, through her. But this was before.
She asked good questions too.
What's up?
She asked really good questions.
Yeah, that was, I mean, I saw that live and I was just shook. I was so confused, and not confused at all. Like, it was the weirdest feeling. And luckily I had one person that I could share the video with, and they confirmed a lot of things that I have been feeling, going through my whole life. I'm going to stop going on live. I'm going to stop doing the readings. And I freaked out a little bit because she was just like so on point, and like I was receiving her messages and whatever she was saying. But anyways, I go to an artist market, and there's a book there that's called Italian Witchcraft. And I just pick it up, and the girls are like, that's so funny. My partner didn't want me to bring this book. It's a rare book, but I just brought it. And then when I was reading it, I was like, I feel like I know all this stuff, but I don't know how I know the stuff because it's
genetic memory. When you pick up a book and you like, it's Italian, real true Italian magic is based around food.
I believe that.
Spirit cooking. Like a lot of what Abramovich was doing with spirit cooking, she used the blood rights of the Babylonian blood magic and instituted them into the Italian cooking. And she's from Russia. He was a agent that came over here in a witness protection program from Russia through the CIA. That's why Abramovich was even here. Mm. But she was protected by the old man George. But Bush brought the individual over here. Right? I ran across a lot of people telling me to abandon the people that sent me on the mission because they didn't like the way they looked. But they sent me to go extract their ass from some dumb shit. That like that make this shit make sense. You a soldier, I'm a soldier. The general sent me to come get you, and you want me to abandon the general in order to run off with you. Make it make sense. It don't work like that.
So, like, is it possible that Grandpa knew more things that he ever shared with anyone?
Yeah, a lot of what was going on in World War II was kept secret because they didn't want their children privy to that type of traumatic information.
But at the same time, he's the one that was married to my grandma, the schizophrenic, and
that just means she was an untrained oracle.
I'm aware, but nobody in the family saw it like that. Especially now.
You're the only one supposed to figure it out. Okay. That's your job. You're the family redeemer.
The family is all spread out. I don't talk to anybody from.
You still the family redeemer. You still the family redeemer. No, that don't matter. Your birth position in your family tree classified you as the family redeemer. That's why you're born under Aquarius. We're going into the Aquarian age. The water signs rule with the wisdom of the ages.
So, like, regardless of the fact that nobody in my family
hears
what I'm talking about,
look, they don't have to hear you. When the shit get done clearing up, they gonna look for you because they're not gonna be able to get to their family bank without you.
And whatever information I feel like I'm still missing, that's just gonna...
It'll come
in?
Yeah, because if you get everything at one time, you won't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Knowledge comes in degrees and by level. The level of understanding increases the level of information. If you're not mentally prepared to process it, digest it, and apply it, it has to wait until you develop to the point you are. And that's why it takes some of us 50 years to be an elder, but others are elders at 33 or 42 or 44. Okay. Because it takes us different levels. The older souls take the longest to wake up because they do everything slow.
It's just, I'm so grateful for you because, like I said, I've had so many questions, especially like things just started happening when I got to Atlanta. Like my diet started changing, just like weird things. And that's really when I started becoming aware of like these questions that I've had. And then this like anger towards men, although like personally in my life, I've had shitty boyfriends, but I've had great men around me. And I never quite understood where that
So let me explain it to you so you can understand. The reason why a lot of women are put off with men is because there's been an ongoing rape campaign desecration of holy places, which mean the mutilation of women, both vaginally and both the mammary glands, desecration of the holy places. The women who are in sync with Mother Earth know that she's going through the same thing, right? They cut down the tree of life in South Africa because that's where we used to store our memory. So when we reconnect back to the tree of eternity, the tree of life, but we put our hands on it and it grounds, and our consciousness will feed through our body, and our DNA will begin unlocking in levels. And we used to do these rituals. The major one, the mother tree was in South Africa at the Yoni of Earth's Yoni. But you had these trees all over the world where tribes would go to upload and download information. The trees are record keepers of the earth as well as the stones, right? So we go and we put our hands on the tree and our bare feet to the earth, and whatever signature our family over the years is left in the tree uploads into our system through a cycle of information exchange between you and the tree. That's why they are so gung-ho on chopping these trees down. They got a whole campaign been running in South America for the last 200 years, and they can't get the Amazon rainforest chopped down fast enough. But now it's too late because all these tribes waking up.
Okay, so South America cutting down trees. Then why is South America in the state that it's in? And I'm particularly thinking about Venezuela. Like, my mom went maybe 5-6 years ago and had a mental breakdown when she was there because of like how scarce the resources are.
They still have war energy hovering over them. The whole South America, Central America, North America has been in a warlock for the last 200 years. So when we go back to Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, and these different countries down there, in certain areas where you go, where the warriors fought the hardest, where the energy is the strongest, and you get caught up in that war energy. And if you're not strong enough to absorb and transmute it so you can use it, it'll break your ass down like a midget breaking down a giant. You won't ever understand what's going on because you're not reading the lay of the land and the energy of what's been going on. We've been in a long 500-year war, right? And they've used every artifice of deception to keep us from ever figuring out what the fuck they was doing.
So back to the paperwork, and I apologize if I'm being dense.
You got to keep coming back because it's a question that needs to be clarified, not just for you.
Exactly. So like, what is the strategy for someone that doesn't have the material or financial means at the moment to hold them over?
There ain't nothing they can do. They just got to do the best they can until they're in a different position.
Okay.
But everybody finna feel the pinch.
Okay. When
we get to the flip point, everybody gonna feel the pinch. Ain't no escaping somebody. You can try to avoid the suffering, but it's coming. Okay. And it's not doomsday prophecy. It's transition from old to new. It's labor pains, birthing pains. A woman understands that better than anybody else. You ain't gonna escape the pinch. You're gonna feel it.
The other thing that I kind of keep thinking about in terms of like paperwork and your words about like people are just going to start dropping around us, repeat in my head all the time. And I mean, I feel like I've been talking to robots for a long time.
A lot of these motherfuckers is.
So the other thought that I had recently is like, are they actually gonna start like dropping around us? Or
they already started. They got a whole movie out called I forgot the name of it. It's like sudden death or something.
Right.
Everybody blaming it on, but this shit was gonna happen whether they do it or not, because everybody not synced to the mitochondria of the earth, and that's how Earth get rid of the parasites.
Okay, so that's what you mean, like, because I was like, the other thing that it's making sense to me or coming to me, it's the fact that like consciousness and awareness. So like obviously the more you tap into yourself, what you're seeing with your eyes of this reality, it's going to be entirely different than everyone else around you.
Well, I'm gonna give you a prime example. If you went to Chicago in '92, all of the suburb cities had big strip malls. That was the thing to invest in. If you go there now, all of those strip malls is empty. Where in the fuck is all these people at? Like, nobody's noticing that there's millions and millions of people literally not here no more. Some of them, right, we went to bed one night, woke up, and they don't exist. Right, but we still in the same holographic construct, so the layout looks the same, but some of the what they call non-actionable players in the game just not in the game no more. We passed that level now.
Okay, I have tons of questions. So you let me know when it's time for somebody else, because I have tons of questions. But in terms
the name of that movie was Die Suddenly.
Die Suddenly?
Yeah.
I mean, I rewatched Avatar before 2020 hit, and granted, I was stoned, but when the movie was over, I was so shook because I was like,
because it's the story of the Anunnaki's arrival on Earth.
Yeah, I was like,
all you got to do is remember this: when we was breathing the double oxygen molecule, we were governed by what's called the platinum group metals. They came platinum group metals, and our skins were pinks and greens of different olive hues. When you look at the olive, it's not just green olives. You got black olives, red olives. You from Italy, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. But these different shades of the olive, it was used to represent the different daughters of Isis, which was the 12 daughters of Isis and the sun. The last two daughters, Scotta and Scotia, was the founders of Scotland and Ireland. These was the ones they ran out when St. Patrick talked about he was hunting the snakes. So we say olive complexion because it's a series of colors.
And my mom is olive tone, and if she spends 2 minutes under the sun, she just it's entirely dark. But in terms of universal law, right? If energy is neither created nor destroyed, and if everything you put out must come back to you, then what did women do that we've been oppressed for so long?
The women didn't do anything. That's what made it so evil. The women are being oppressed for being good, for being inherently righteous at the root, and being the heirs to earth. This is what their punishment was for. It's a war, but it comes across as punishment because you can only see the side that of the war that we own, the victim side, the defender side, the black side of the chessboard. They coming in from the attacker side, the white side of the chessboard. And that's why they use these color designations to divide us, so we can't never figure out the game they playing.
So it's not because we got to, like, it's not because we misused our own power once we created man?
No, that was done by permission of Prime Creator. It was a joint venture between Mother Earth, the Queen of Heaven and Earth, and Prime Creator to create men for companionship and protection, because they knew that the motherfuckers was coming. And the women back then had instant manifestation abilities that was usurped using conjuring science. That's why they put the moon there, to handicap the women. That's what the story of Eve is all about. If people pay attention to the story, the first rat on record was motherfucking Adam bitch ass, because he didn't protect his woman, and then he told on her and gave her up to the enemy, who was masquerading as their god. Where she was standing firm, he threw her to the wolves. Now that's a bitch ass, coward ass motherfucker if I ever seen one.
There was a time that you were talking about, I believe it was you, about braiding hair and how that's protecting your crown chakra or whatnot. And when it was time for my confirmation in Italy, I'm not sure of what ended up happening, but I ended up doing all my girlfriends' hairs and braiding all their hair, which I think about often nowadays.
Hairdressers was a position of rank in our organic communities.
A position of rank, you said?
Yeah. When you go, so now we go to beauticians, but the beauticians was trained out of the royal families. They the ones came up with the wigs thousands of years ago. Like, you have the guys now who call themselves woke that talk about the sisters that wear the weaves. We invented that shit before racism existed. Racism didn't exist when we invented weaves. Racism wasn't here when we invented wigs. The first wigs, shit, looked like lamb's wool because they was made out of lambskin fur. But we don't want to acknowledge that, and we want to say because she got extensions in her hair, she's trying to be other than what she is. Some of these sisters got straight hair too. Black as you can get them. Look like a Hershey bar skin complexion with straight hair, her natural hair. But we don't know the history of ourselves enough to know that the one who does the hair, that's a position of rank. Everybody not allowed to touch our hair. That's why barbers and beauticians have a special place in what we call the organic communities. And that's why people from all over the world cater to our fetish for doing our hair. Our women love to do their hair in different styles. She can wear an afro today and she can wear that motherfucker's pressed out tomorrow, depending on how she want to change her look. That was part of what's called the beauty